Hi, I'm Linda, and this is No Frills ASMR. I can see my thing in the camera. I want to move it. So I'm back with the best-selling albums of all time book. I think we've looked at the 80s and the 90s so far. So I have marked the page for the 70s. Now, somebody asked me to do a specific era, and I was like, was it the 70s or was it the 2000s? I couldn't remember, but I thought we'd do the 70s. Now, I was born in 1970, so I was between 0 and 10 years old. But, I'm still familiar with the era because those songs were still around and played all the time. Well, during the 80s and to this day, honestly. But we'll have to try to figure out what we think the top 10 would be from the 70s. Now, I've been wrong with this book because it isn't the top 10 like number one hits or anything like that. It's the best selling full LP albums of that decade. So that's a little trickier, honestly. I have marked the page because if you look at the page before it, they have pictures of some of the albums. And that's why I don't want to guess, because I actually saw some of those, so I kind of know. But, all right. Here's number 20, top 20. We're going to do 20, so if you want to think of what you think. All right, for number 20, we have a lot of glare here, don't we? The Eagles, The Long Run. You kind of feel like in the 70s, the Eagles were just on in the background everywhere you went. At the grocery store, like all over. I bet a lot of these will be that way. And all the way to this day. You still hear, let's see, The Long Run. I Can't Tell You Why. Ah, it's a great song. I can't. In the City. Disco Strangler. King of Hollywood. Heartache Tonight. I mean, all through the 80s we had dances that were called hops, H-O-P, hops, which stands for Healthy Organized Play, I think. I think that's right. And they would always play Heartache Tonight. Those Shoes, Teenage Jail, The Greeks Don't Want No Freaks, The Sad Cafe. Yeah, 7,100,000 released September of 1979. Yeah, that's that way. A lot of these songs were playing a lot in the 80s because, like, I Can't Tell You Why, The Long Run, Heartache Tonight, they would have still been around. So we have the band Don Henley, Glenn Frey, Joe Walsh, Timothy Schmidt, and Don Felder. They talk about 70s consumerism. The 1970s sits in competition with the 1980s as the me decade, but has a good claim to the title. While the Eagles sang songs of poetic reflection, much of the rest of adult society was devoted to consumerism. Advances made in computer chip technology, Intel introduced the microprocessor onto the market in 1971, and advances in home entertainment produced a rash of new luxury technology, including Atari's Pong, which I had and played, the first home game console, and the VCR. We were an early adopter of a VCR because my dad worked for Chrysler, and they had interviewed him when they were doing it was like a PBS. I don't know if it was like Frontline or what, I forget. But it was some PBS show about the auto industry. And they ended up interviewing my dad. And we weren't going to be able to be home that night because we had something going on with our church. I forget. And so I remember going to, I think it was called like Freddy's. I feel like it was Freddy's electronics store. And it was always so exciting to like go to the store and buy something because you know how I'm frugal. I grew up my dad was frugal. And so we went there and he was like, I have to have a machine that records the TV. And they're like, yeah, VCR. But back then they were so expensive. I think it was like very expensive to get that VCR, but he wanted it. But then we were so popular because we could record TV shows. And so I could tell my friends, like, I'm going to record David Letterman. And then they could all come over and watch David Letterman. It was all very cool. All right, so that's the Eagles. Number 19, Running on Empty by Jackson Browne. Well, this song, Running on Empty, yeah, it was on all the time. Running on Empty. I'm not that familiar with Jackson Browne. I remember when they had the Columbia House records and tapes. I did a video on this, but one of them that I ordered was Jackson Browne's Greatest Hits because there was some song in there I was like, oh, I like that song. But then I was mid on the whole album. It was like his greatest. It was like a 2 CD, I think. And I'd get a little bored of him. But I know this one, The Loadout, that one's all about his band loading out at the end of the night, but it's sort of a story song. I know that one, The Road, I'm not sure. Rosie, You Love the Thunder, Cocaine, and that's not the Cocaine Eric Clapton version. Shaky Town, Love Needs a Heart, Nothing But Time, Stay. Oh, Stay. I don't know. I'm just not sure if I know these. So it sold 7,200,000. It was released in January of 1978. The music press. While today's music press has limited impact on the average listener, during the 1970s, it could shape the very fashionability of a group or artist. Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, that was the difference, is back in the 70s and 80s, you might listen to sort of different music, but basically your whole high school would hear the same albums. Now there were like the people who were into the heavy metal, and when I was in school, pop and new wave and, whatever your deal is. But you still kind of had that in common. Like, it wasn't like you didn't know the other songs at all. You knew them. You just chose to be with this group. But now I think it's so varied because of streaming. I don't even know. I'm not sure how it works anymore. I don't know. I mean, there's still some things, I guess. Pretty much everybody knows Taylor Swift. I've been learning her dance for exercise because it's too cold to go outside. All right, 1970s. Oh yeah, for sure. Michael Jackson's Off the Wall. This album, oh my God. This album's huge. I'm surprised this one isn't number 1. This is number 18. All right, it sold 8 million. This is pre-Thriller and all this. So he had come out of the Jackson 5. He started to do his own stuff. This might be his first solo. I'm not sure about that. But not as big of a superstar yet, but already huge. I mean, these songs, oh my God, these are all huge. Look, get ready. Don't stop till you get enough. Don't stop till you get enough. Rock with You. I'm gonna rock with you. I won't sing them all. I'm sorry. I can't help it. Working Day and Night. I don't know that one. Get on the Floor. Off the Wall. Girlfriend. She's Out of My Life. I Can't Help It. It's the Falling in Love. Burn This Disco Out. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I know all those. I probably would if I heard them. But for sure, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Rock with You. For sure. Yeah. So what year did this come out? August of 79. I bet Thriller didn't come out for another. It probably came out in like 80. 84, 85. I don't remember. I'd have to check. I don't know. All right, the Jackson Five were a family group of five brothers during the early to mid 70s. Yet the talent of young Michael could not be contained within its confines. Signed in 1969 to Motown label when the eldest, Jackie, was 18 and the youngest, Michael, was 11. God, he seems smaller than 11, honestly. All right, number 17, Toys in the Attic by Aerosmith. And there are all the toys in the attic. I never really looked at that album cover. I don't think I've ever owned any Aerosmith, like album CDs, cassettes, anything. I just haven't. I don't know. Let's see. What songs I know. Toys in the Attic. I don't know if I know that. Uncle Salty, Adam's Apple, Walk This Way. Okay, yeah, I know that. Big 10-inch record. Sweet Emotion, of course, yes. No More, No More, Round and Round, You See Me Crying. I'm not sure. I'd have to hear that. Steve Tyler, Joe Perry, Tom Hamilton, Brad Whitford, Joey Kramer. So this came out in April of 75. I was 5 years old, but definitely Sweet Emotion and Walk This Way. They were like background to life music, you know. Like all my neighbors, I was the youngest out of my neighborhood group who we'd all play and everything. But like some of them were old enough that they would be in the garage like working on cars and stuff. And so they'd always have the radio on. And so that's, you know, so I'd kind of hear that music just from being a person at that time. Although there were exceptions, the rock stars of the 70s generally lived the true sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle. Drugs were ironically often central to the group's creativity, but usually resulted in group destruction. Yeah, it's kind of crazy that Aerosmith still tours, and I don't know. I don't know, but I think they're like original members, aren't they? I mean, for sure, Steve Tyler. I think they are. Anyway, luminaries killed by drugs famously include Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, who were all 28, right? Well, not the 28 club. But more frequently, substance abuse simply rendered people chronically unstable, as in the case of Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. Yeah, my neighbor next door had the Black Sabbath stuff. His older brother had loved Black Sabbath. And then the one who was closer to my age, he had all the Kiss albums. I didn't buy albums in the 70s. I was too young. But I listened to them. Oh, yeah. Okay. Here's Simon and Garfunkel, Bridge Over Troubled Water, which has a lot of great songs on it. It sold 8,300,000 copies. It was released in February of 1970. So very early in the decade. Yeah. Bridge Over Troubled Water, great song. El Condor Pasa, If I Could. Oh, yeah, If I Could. Yeah. I can't think of it. This is another one where once I got the Columbia records and tapes, I ordered Simon and Garfunkel Greatest Hits. So that's how I'm most familiar, honestly. That was during college. Cecilia. We sang that in choir in high school. So I know the alto part by heart. Keep the Customer Satisfied. I don't know that. So Long, Frank Lloyd Wright. I'm not sure, but I just watched a couple documentaries about Frank Lloyd Wright. I might do a video on him. The Boxer. Yes, great song. Actually, a really great song. Baby Driver. The Only Living Boy in New York. That's a great song that I didn't know until when I owned an art gallery. I bought some CDs that I played. And I'm trying to remember. I think it was Zach Braff had a movie and he made the soundtrack to like the songs, and it was on there. And it's a great song. Why Don't You Write Me? Bye Bye Love, Song for the Asking. All right. It says Simon and Garfunkel's melodies seem to form a soundtrack to a particularly unsettled period in American history. President Richard Nixon entered the White House in 1969 with the Vietnam War still the dominant political issue. Massive war protests were recurrent, and on May 4th of 1970, 4 student protesters were shot dead at Kent State University by National Guardsmen. I did a video about that if you're curious. I go on a deep dive about that. Nixon withdrew U.S. ground troops from Vietnam in 1973, but there were other problems for the administration. Divorce rates were climbing and unemployment was high. Abortion was legalized in 1973. Women, ethnic minorities, and gays were campaigning for greater status. The Nixon era came to an end after the Watergate scandal when in 1974 he resigned to avoid impeachment. Yeah, back when I have a video with the newspaper from that time. I think I have 2. Okay, Songs in the Key of Life. Oh, this is a Stevie Wonder album. Yeah, he was a Motown artist as well. Just Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder both signed when they were young. Like, he was little Stevie Wonder. I don't know if I'll know his songs by name but I'm sure if I heard them. Love's in Need of Love Today, Have a Talk with God, Village, Ghetto, Land, Confusion, Sir Duke, I Wish, Knock Me Off My Feet, Pastime Paradise, Summer Soft, Ordinary Pain, Isn't She Lovely, Joy Inside My Tears, Black Man, I Am Sing Along, If It's Magic, As Another Star, Saturn, Ebony Eyes, All Day Sucker, Easy Going Evening. I don't know. I know Isn't She Lovely for sure. Motown was a record label out of Detroit. Well, they talk about it. In the 1970s, the Motown record label reached the apogee, A-P-O-G-E-E, apogee, of its success and had been responsible for bringing some of the greatest African American artists to the public ear. The company was founded in December 14th of 59 by Berry Gordy Jr. in Detroit, Michigan. During the 60s, it fostered talent that included the Supremes, Marvin Gaye, Smokey Robinson, Stevie Wonder, and the Jackson 5. I mean, with the label running 22 hours a day to keep the hits flowing. Yeah, pretty awesome. Grease, John Travolta, and Olivia Newton-John. It was never my thing. I never got into Grease. I had girlfriends who saw it like 15 times. I'm not even sure I ever saw it in the movie theaters. I don't know. I was probably too young. Or something. I don't know. Why would all my friends see it and I wouldn't? I don't know. Yeah, so this is the soundtrack to the movie with all the songs you probably know. It was released in May of 78, sold 9,400,000. Oh, this is a good one. Billy Joel the Stranger. There's a documentary about Billy Joel called And So It Goes, I think. It's pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I love a music documentary, though. I will watch them all. Yeah, this is a great album. 10,300,000 copies. Released September of 77. Look, Moving Out, Anthony song. Oh, love it. The Stranger. Yes, Just the Way You Are. Scenes from an Italian restaurant I could listen to over and over. I'm obsessed. Vienna. Only the Good Die Young. She's Always a Woman. Get It Right the First Time. Everybody Has a Dream. This is a great album. Musical success didn't come easily to Billy Joel. After dropping out of high school in '64, he tried to make it big with several different bands. All collapsed miserably. The last, the organ and drum duo Attila. Yeah, that was in the documentary. Breaking up in '70, depressed and dispirited by these failures and working as a music critic and jingle writer, Joel made a failed suicide attempt. Yeah, he drank furniture polish. This is all in the documentary. So it goes. It's pretty good. All right, Van Halen. Okay. Now, this might be the first album. I didn't buy it because I didn't have any money because I was probably 10. But that really had an effect on me as far as like really digging rock and roll. Because it was different than the 70s stuff. It just had a different sound to it. And like when I heard Running with the Devil, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. This came out in '78. I would have been 8 years old. But I feel like I was probably 9 or 10. And we used to, at my church, we did a thing called the Fast-a-thon where you would not eat for 24 hours. I don't know. And you got pledges. It was for charity. It was really just for all us kids to stay overnight at the church and play games and stuff. We'd play like floor hockey in the basement and all kinds of things. But some of the boys there who were a little bit older, they had this album and we listened to it like on repeat. And I loved it. Jamie's Crying, Ice Cream Man. I loved Ice Cream Man because I was 8. So it seemed really cool. This has Running with the Devil, Atomic Punk, Eruption, hello, Feel Your Love Tonight, You Really Got Me. You Really Got Me. Ain't Talking About Love. Little Dreamer, Ice Cream Man, Jamie's Crying, On Fire, I'm the One. It's awesome. Yeah. Fun. Okay. I have talked before about my absolute undying love for Carole King. I did a whole video on her kids album, Really Rosie, because I think it's probably one of the best children's music albums that I'm aware of. Now, there are a lot I'm not aware of, but I loved it. My kids loved it. But this album, Tapestry, and this kitty cat on this album, I would play this on the record player over and over and sing along because, you know, it has all the lyrics on the back, so you can sing along. I spent many summer days in the 70s singing along to this Carole King album. And I don't know how true it was, but the story was always that she wrote music. She played piano and wrote music for all these other people. And she didn't feel her singing voice was really that great. And honestly, I don't know if it's the best singing voice ever, but it has a lot of character. And when she sings her songs, you like feel her songs, man. So this has I Feel the Earth Move. Yes, please. So Far Away. Oh my God, so far away. It's Too Late. Oh, it's so good. This song's about just a relationship that's just past the point of any return. Home Again, love it. Beautiful. Way Over Yonder. Oh, You've Got a Friend. Where You Lead. Oh my God. Will You Love Me Tomorrow? Aretha Franklin did a version of that. Smackwater Jack. Tapestry. You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman. Oh my God, I love it so much. This is like music for women. I don't know if men like it. Album sales 11 million. Release date March of 1971. Look who was on here. I guess they helped write. Maybe Carole King, Joni Mitchell, Joel O'Brien, Charles Larkey. Oh, I don't know. James Taylor, Russ Kunkel, Raphael. I don't know who they are. Anyway, so good. It's a little thing about feminism. Feminism was at its most powerful in 1970. The decade produced what has often been described as a second wave feminism, setting the period which began in mid-60s in contradistinction to the women's movement of the 1800s. While some feminists continued to emphasize the equality of men and women, many others in the second wave pointed to the essential differences between men and women, such as in the capacity of motherhood. They also drew on Marxist linguistic and psychoanalytical models to portray gender as a cultural construct rather than a biological given. The key voices of second wave feminism included Germaine Greer and Gloria Steinem. Yeah, love that album. Love it. Okay. Houses of the Holy. This is Led Zeppelin. Oh my God. This album covers. I don't know if you could get approval for that now. I do remember hearing about it. It was like some art photographer, like in Ireland, I think. She took all these photos of these. I think it was a brother and sister. And yeah, it's kind of weird now. I don't know. Okay, the song remains the same. This album, the Rain song, Over the Hills and Far Away, the Crunge, Dancing Days. Dire Maker. I love Dire Maker. Ugh. No Quarter, The Ocean. Yep. That's a good one. Legendary Guitarists. I'm sorry, I'm reading it, forgetting to read it out loud. Oh, Meatloaf, Bad at Hell. This makes me think of my Uncle Jimmy, who passed away earlier this year, but he loved Meatloaf. He loved Meatloaf. And we would drive to go fishing in his station wagon, and he'd play Paradise by the Dashboard Light and stuff. He just had the cassette tape. Yeah. 15 million copies. He loved Meatloaf. He loved Mariah Carey too. And Shania Twain. October 1977. Oh, Meatloaf, Todd Rundgren, Max Weinberg, Jimmy Iovine, Edgar Winter. Interesting. Yeah, it's very like theatrical, Meatloaf. So this has Bad Out of Hell, You Took the Words Right Out of My Mouth, Heaven Can Wait, All Revved Up with No Place to Go, 2 out of 3 Ain't Bad, Paradise by the Dashboard Light, and For Crying Out Loud. I'm not sure that I'm a huge Meatloaf fan, but I don't know, sometimes it's kind of fun. They talk about bikers, the Hells Angels. Actually formed in 1948, but rose to public notice in the 60s and 70s, particularly after some of its members beat a man to death at the Rolling Stones Altamont gig in 1969. There's a documentary about that. That's a crazy story. I may have to look into that. All right, number 8, Saturday Night Fever. Yeah, my parents had this album. They saw the movie, I think, and then they got the album, and they would dance. They'd because they're from the 50s, so they know how to really dance. And so they dance to this album all the time. It's got so many good songs. It's not like by one artist, it's a soundtrack. So the Bee Gees are on there. We have this album, actually. And I don't even know who these people are really, but to have Harris, Yvonne, Elliman. I don't know who they are, but they're on here. Oh yeah, and Boogie Shoes by Casey and the Sunshine Band. You Should Be Dancing by the Bee Gees. Jive Talkin'. Open Sesame by Kool and the Gang. Staying Alive. How Deep Is Your Love? Night Fever. More Than a Woman. Oh my God. If I Can't Have You. Yeah, they had the Fifth of Beethoven on here. I remember that too. More Than a Woman. pretty great. Disco Inferno. Yeah, it's a pretty cool album. Okay. Physical Graffiti, another Led Zeppelin album. This one came out in 75. Wait, when did the other one come out? Came out in 73, 74, 75. Okay. So, Robert Plant remains an archetype of the heavy rock lead vocalist. He was born in 48, and during his formative years in England began a deep love for rock and roll and the blues. Some would say, intentionally or not, he stole a lot of riffs from the blues and from other artists. Kind of happened a lot back then. I think a lot of bands probably thought they didn't know what the future would hold. Not just with their popularity, but with streaming and everything. If you think you're just going to play at your little pub in England, you probably feel like you can kind of sneak some steals in there and be okay. That would be my guess. But yeah, I think he may have stole a lot of sound. I'm not saying for sure. I just think, I watched a documentary called Becoming Led Zeppelin. It's good. It's a good doc. But it's all about before they actually became Led Zeppelin. It's becoming. But it really goes into Robert Plant's early days. No, Jimmy Page. Yeah, Jimmy Page is the guitarist. Robert Plant's the singer. It does both, but I remember the Jimmy Page part because he... they didn't form this band till they were older. I don't know how old. I don't remember. But when the time he was like 17, I think he started playing. He was like a really good guitarist. He had these old like 1950s guitars, the hollow bodies. And he played for like all these different bands. And then he kind of became like a studio guitarist. And he was writing jingles. And then he started composing for like movies. He was like doing compositions, I think. And he wrote music like that you would know. I can't remember what right now, but like familiar music that you don't even know he wrote. I wish I could remember. I'll try to next time we talk about it, I'll try. And then he started this. So they were all like accomplished musicians before they even got Led Zeppelin together as a band. And Led Zeppelin, good. Oh my God, it's good. It's good. All right, Houses of the Holy, Kashmir. I don't know if I know all their songs by name because, it's hard. So Custard Pie, The Rover, In My Time of Dying, I think I might know. Trampled Underfoot, In the Light, Braniar, I don't know. Down by the Seaside, 10 Years Gone, Night Flight, The Wonton Song, Boogie with Stew, Black Country Woman, Sick Again. I don't know. Oh, gosh, yeah, Boston. This album cover, it's like a blast from the past. I totally remember this being around. This one just was on all the time, everywhere. Like, it is the sound of the 70s, right? More Than a Feeling, Peace of Mind, Foreplay, Long Time, Rock and Roll Band, Smokin', Hitch a Ride, Something About You, Let Me Take You Home Tonight. Yes, Boston. 77 this came out. Yeah, this album, man. It was all the time on. I feel like at my high school in the 80s, it was constantly playing. Like, we had a shop, like an auto shop, because we were in Detroit, and they actually had a garage, and they'd work on cars, and this would be playing in there all the time. 1970s, Hotel California. This is great. I had the cassette tape and the CD. Hotel California, New Kid in Town, Life in the Fast Lane, Wasted Time, Victim of Love, Pretty Maids All in a Row, Try and Love Again, The Last Resort. Yeah. Don Henley, Glenn Fry, Don Felder, Randy Meisner, Joe Walsh. 17,900,000. Released in December of 76. Welcome to the Hotel. Oh, Dark Side of the Moon. Dark Side of the Moon. Which song? Which song has the line Dark Side of the Moon? I know some Pink Floyd, but it was never like my music, so I'm not like super familiar. But my son, the one who does the football picks, he loves Pink Floyd. He loves them. Let's see. Speak to Me, Breathe in the Air, On the Run, Time, The Great Gig in the Sky, Money. Yeah, Money. Us and Them, Any Color You Like. Brain Damage. You know what? Brain Damage, that's the one with Dark Side of the on the Dark Side of the Moon. That's Brain Damage. Eclipse. Yeah. Dave Gilmour, Roger Waters. So this sold 18,500,000, released in March of 73. Okay, Fleetwood Mac rumors. My dad had this 8-track that we would listen to on our road trips, so I know every word of every song by heart because we only had a few 8-tracks. We had this. We had Elton John. We had the guy who yodeled. I can't remember. Not Walt Whitman. Something Whitman. I can't remember. I don't know why he had that one. Let's see. Secondhand News, Dreams, Never Going Back, Don't Stop. Yes, Go Your Own Way. Songbird, The Chain, You Make Lovin' Fun, I Don't Want to Know, Oh Daddy, Gold Dust Woman. Yeah, they're great. I remember way back in the day listening to it Behind the Music with Stevie Nicks. It was wild. These people, they all slept with each other. It was crazy. Married, slept with, I don't know. This came out in 1977. We have Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks, John McVie, Christine McVie, and Mick Fleetwood. Christine died not that long ago, like a couple years ago. That is sad. Number 2, The Wall. The Wall by Pink Floyd. Yep. I remember one time putting this movie on at night in college, and I was like, what's going on? And I fell asleep. I didn't quite get it. Another Brick in the Wall. Yep. I had that on a cassette, like taped onto a cassette. Sold 24,300,000. Wow. That's a lot. I'm surprised I don't see this at more estate sales when I go. From December of 1979. Wow. All right. Number 1. I already saw it. It's Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin 4. Yep. This is a good one, I think. I think this is a good one. This is the early. It came out in 1971. Sold 24,400,000. It has Black Dog. Yes. Rock and Roll. The Battle for Evermore. Stairway to Heaven. Misty Mountain Hop. 4 Sticks. Going to California. When the Levee Breaks. So good. But yeah, very much could be taken from somebody else. The Moog synthesizer. Either that played a big role in the becoming Zeppelin, or there was this documentary just about the Moog. I can't remember, but I know about the Moog. Robert Moog is a legendary figure in the history of electronic instrument development. Although forms of electronic synthesizers had emerged as far back as 1920s, the instruments were not really practical sound machines until Moog's synthesizers appeared in 1964. Yeah, pretty cool. So there you go. We've got Zeppelin, Floyd, Fleetwood this is why I can't open it to this page because it shows you